Hi, everyone. It's Joe Veneri, the host of Fitt Insider, the show where I talk with the entrepreneurs, executives, and investors who are redefining the business of fitness and wellness. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Veldhuizen, CEO of Capti, a game-based smart bike. In this episode, we discuss Capti's immersive gaming experience. Jeff explains how Capti differs from other connected equipment makers, and he shares the company's long-term goal of powering fitness in the Metaverse. Before today's episode, I wanted to share some updates to the Fitt Insider platform. As you might know, in addition to this podcast, we send a weekly newsletter to help operators stay informed and make better decisions. We also launched an industry-specific jobs board filled with hundreds of openings at top companies, and we're actively investing in early-stage health and fitness startups. To see what's new or to get in touch, visit insider.fit.co. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to Fitt Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Looking forward to today's conversation. We were chatting a little bit offline. Certainly no shortage of things to talk about. A lot of stuff happening at Capti. So why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're working on?
Sure. Jeff Veldhuizen, CEO of Interactive Fitness, the parent company of Espresso, and now Capti. A little bit of context, I guess. Personally, I love riding bikes. I've been riding bikes my whole life. Road, mountain, gravel. I used to teach snowboarding in Canada. So I guess for me, from an early age, I've always been outdoors, and that naturally fueled into my passion and purpose to connect people with the products and services that help them lead healthier lives. And that's kind of funneled me into where we are today. Professionally, I've spent most of my career helping grow some of the world's most recognizable brands, including Nike, Zwift, Hurley, Converse, Gatorade. And as you know, prior to Capti, I was at Zwift and helped grow that business, where it was recently valued north of $1 billion after their big Series C round. I think they raised about $450 million. And so before that, I spent a decade at Nike helping grow Nike.com from a $100 million pet project into a world-class direct-to-consumer brand across roles in marketing, merchandising, customization, and then got into general management roles with P&L ownership for businesses within a business, from 50 million to 1.2 billion. Helped launch the Fuel Band. And then I came to Interactive Fitness, though, because I see a truly unique and different product that has reached millions of fitness seekers in the past and the ability to reach millions more. And so that brings us to where we are today, I guess. Built on 15 years of innovation under the Espresso brand, who've had over 11 million people riding their bikes in the commercial setting, from gyms, multi-housing, corporate fitness centers to college rec and everything in between. They have 3 million registered riders. We looked at the at-home fitness market, and that's where Capti came from, and built that up as a game-changing smart bike, which is focused on creating virtual worlds like video games where the rider's in charge of his or her own experience and they become deeply engaged like playing video games.
Yeah, it's a super compelling concept. And I think kind of sorting out there's the interactive fitness, which was, kind of best known for the Espresso bike. And if you're kind of in the game and in the industry, I've worked at YMCAs and community rec centers and managing fitness departments and different things like that. And the Espresso bike has been around since the early 2000s, and in some ways was ahead of its time when it came to like interactive, like video game content. And I remember folks kind of like when they were getting installed, it was a huge deal. And there was almost like a line to get on them and try them. And then the company kind of had some ups and downs, raised upwards of $50 million in funding, went into bankruptcy, was acquired out of bankruptcy. And now even, you and I had chatted prior to this about Capti, and I kind of knew what was going on behind the scenes, but even it framed as born out of the Espresso bike. Are those, you talk about the 3 million or so registered users. Is there any tie-in to that audience? Are you trying to sell into that channel, or is this primarily, hey, we're launching this as its own standalone thing, just with those kind of learnings? How does that relationship work?
Yeah, great question. Founded in 2005, under the Espresso brand, we first had the Spark bike, which, I think we had, before connected fitness was a thing, we had a thing. And so The company recognized the role the internet would play very early on in fitness and made a bet on gaming. Fast forward to where Capti is today. Capti and Espresso operate together. They leverage a common community and gaming experience. And so the two can coexist together. And there's certainly a place for Capti in the home and beyond and into commercial. But then there's also, as you know, the Espresso bike is an upright bike, right? And it's incredibly popular in certain channels like Wise as well, where people don't want to get out of the saddle and sprint through virtual worlds. They're really comfortable just riding and steering on an upright bike. And so we believe there's a market for both of them there.
Yeah. And then kind of when you think about what makes Capti unique in the landscape, this idea of the gaming, the immersive, right, experience for the rider, it's something that as you look across the various takes on the bike itself, there's the boutique style bike, and now more folks are starting to explore this idea of gaming content. How do you take that, the gaming and the content piece, and then separate that from anyone else who would want to push into the gaming category? What does that experience look like in terms of the developing that, and then also the user experience?
Yeah, so let's start with a lot of the bikes out in the market lean into an instructor-led, studio-driven type of experience. And given that we are self-directed, game-inspired, and community-driven, it's a true smart bike. So the bike, I'll break it down from the hardware and then I can go into the software. But the hardware itself, Capti delivers 2 bikes in one. And I think that's one of the main differentiators. And so the bike morphs from a road bike with dynamic steering and shifting and terrain adaptive resistance into a studio bike with lock handlebars and fixed pedals. And so Espresso does not do that. And that's our patent pending smart ride technology. And we mirrored what it's like to ride a bike outside with an incredibly immersive gaming experience behind it. And so, imagine you power an avatar through virtual worlds on miles of open roads, either in space, roller coasters, or on snow-capped mountains. You're tracking your progress on leaderboards. You're chasing your buddy's ghost, or you're beating yesterday's PR. Or another person in your family could be on coin collecting adventures chasing dragons for points. So I think that's sort of the lay of the land for the experience. And the game itself delivers sort of a game-driven experience unlike any other fitness machine on the market. We leverage the Unreal Engine from Epic, which was critical to our ability to deliver rich and compelling 3D video game level graphics that just sort of leap off the screen and pull riders in, But it was also, I think, really important for us because we wanted to be able to leverage the open platform 7.5 million developer community. And that helps us create the immersive content that gets updated regularly and keeps users engaged. And so you combine that with the fact that the bike dynamically reads and reacts to a rider's feedback 50 times per second. You have a true smart bike and a true gaming platform for consumers. And I think that is very different than how when you think about when a lot of brands start to get into gaming, it's game-driven elements to a certain extent. Sometimes gamified comes out as just a leaderboard, for example. And I think for us, it's so much more than that. That makes it a true game-driven experience.
Yeah, I think that's well said in terms of you get the gamification buzzword element of, all of a sudden it's not human instructor-led classes. It's, any type of, as you said, chasing coins or dragons or, interactive content. But there's a whole other element of integrating the bike itself and developers and continuing to build out that software element. When you think about differentiating yourself, right? Because at this point, Capti's would be relatively unknown breaking into now what is an increasingly crowded, connected fitness, gamified or not, landscape. What goes into kind of educating consumers on how it is different and then building that awareness as you, I think now are planning on starting to ship bikes like this winter. So how are you kind of building out that marketing and awareness as you ready to go to market?
Yeah, so part of our growth strategy leans heavily into our existing espresso community who know us and love us from their gyms, right? We have so many game or sort of community-driven programming that keeps that community engaged and really connected to what we're doing. Whether it be at the Rally with the Y programs, where the Ys, as you likely know, sort of raise hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for their local communities on our bikes, racing against each other and competing on the leaderboards for points. And then we also do that with college frenzies, where colleges will compete against each other for, mainly bragging rights, but also the winner gets new equipment as well. But I think what makes our games different from others, I think there's really kind of three elements to it. So when you're on our bike, there's virtual cycling, there's heart rate training. Yes, we do have instructor-led studio cycling classes. And then we also have the HIT games. When you get into the gaming side of things, we give users sort of levels to complete, whether you're on the virtual cycling side or on the HIT gaming side, that give them a feeling of choice. And it's really all about autonomy, right? Riders want to have, they can ride hundreds of miles and explore open worlds. And I think that's really important, is that feeling of that there's always something new, to get a new adventure to get lost in or discover and explore. So that's the first part of it. And that comes through in the virtual cycling, where we've got over 50 roads, 350 virtual miles, and 20,000 feet of climbing. And virtually from a countryside to riding in outer space to on a roller coaster to underwater, it's whatever gets you engaged. And then on the other side, it's about, this is fitness, right? And so we need to have the game mechanics in mind, that with fitness in mind, that really improve the feeling of improvement over time. So you want to be able to track your progress on the global leaderboards, whether that's through monthly challenges or chasing yesterday's personal record. And then we need to have the storyline improvements that really kind of create that engaging experience and the faster game loops that go along with that. And so an example, the more users ride, the more they unlocked, and the badging and the questing that goes along with that, the ride streaks and the power boosts via coin collecting. All of that is super critical to helping a user or a rider be able to see that they're improving over time. And the last one is just, Capti combines the real life with the virtual world, right? The social elements and fostering a sense of belonging within the community. And our community feels like there's something part of something greater than themselves. And so they keep coming back. And that's super important for us. And that comes to life in the college frenzies and the rallies and the monthly challenges that we do and all that. And I think when you look at gaming and fitness as a game, how you bring all that together is part of the secret sauce. It's the hardware plus the software equals an experience that is rich, engaging, and just really immersive for people. And there's a lot of folks who work on the hardware, and there's a lot of folks who work on the software. But what I've always been impressed with interactive fitness is from the beginning, they've been working on both and making improvements along the way to create that, 1 + 1 = 3 type of an experience.
Yeah, kind of building on that, down that path. One of the things that I wanted to ask about, talking to a lot of operators now who are running into just a host of supply chain issues, especially on the hardware side, the various logistics being disrupted and continue to be a concern with meeting delivery times and product launches. I've talked to kind of a handful of founders, a few that launched, call it right before going into COVID, that maybe still haven't been able to get product delivered, and then others who were kind of ramping up and got into it and basically said, we can't move forward right now in this environment and even tell folks when we can ship a hardware product. How has that been when you think about the supply chain and wanting to deliver products, I guess, leveraging the existing infrastructure at Interactive Fitness? I'm sure that's played a role, but how are you thinking about that as you prepare to start, getting product in folks' homes?
Yeah, well, we certainly have not been immune to the macroeconomic supply chain challenges. I wish I could say we were, but even then, we've had a partner with us for building our bikes out of Taiwan for the last 10 years, and they've been incredible. We've been able to catch wind of parts shortages early on and delays that we've been able to chase ahead of time and continue to chase. Microchips. I think everyone heard about the microchip shortage, but no one heard about the bike seat shortage or the pedal shortage. Those were other things that we were chasing for our bikes, and so because we've had a good partner out of Taiwan that has alerted us to these potential issues, we've been able to tackle them early on and secure the parts needed. That said, I mean, it is a volatile market right now, and yesterday's challenge and solution could present a whole new set of challenges that we work through. But I think with the team that we have in place, we've been able to rapidly respond and address most of the issues that have come up. Now, obviously, you've got skyrocketing freight costs right now. I live 5-10 miles from the Long Beach port, and when I go for a ride in the morning, I'll ride around Palos Verdes, and I can see all the container ships waiting to come in, and some of those are even spilling out into the South Bay across from Redondo, Hermosa Beach, and it's concerning, and I think we're all in it right now. And certainly as we're going into the holidays, but I think the way that we're working around it is by we've secured containers and air freight early on, and we're just working through the manufacturing process to ensure that we've got the product to then deliver and then get over stateside and then work it through the ports. And it's a real impact right now, certainly. But I think we're doing as good as everyone else is doing.
Sure. Yeah. It's a challenge. There's no way around it. And I think everybody is adapting day to day and sometimes hour to hour, to your point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And with that, I think it is such a unique environment right now, just that, obviously we had this kind of forced acceleration to digital and at home, and we see just skyrocketing usage and revenue numbers and investment plowing into this kind of segment of the industry. But at the same time, now we're also starting to see, hey, folks are going back to gyms, and we're starting to see the foot traffic and visits increase a little bit. And ultimately you end up somewhere in a hybrid omni-channel environment, pick your word of choice. But I think as an operator, then the challenge becomes, you talk now about making sure you're getting the hardware and securing the freight and getting ahead as far as you can. Kind of what information are you looking at and utilizing to make some of these strategic decisions? Like, hey, what do we base our orders on? What do we base our hiring on, or these growth projections, just given that the industry is kind of juiced right now, and also we don't quite know where the percentage of at home versus in person breaks down?
Great question. We're taking signals. I mean, because we're a B2B as well as a direct-to-consumer business, we have our incredible sales team has got their ear to the ground on the commercial side. And so they're working with all of their dealers and partners around what they're hearing. We were just at URSA last week, and it was a great readout on the industry. It was also a great opportunity to connect with our partners and operators in the commercial space. And then we're also looking at the direct-to-consumer side. And, I think the hard part is we don't know how long the pandemic will last, but we're also starting to see consumers go back to the gyms as well. So, I think as an industry, it's still taking shape. But I do believe it'll come out as a hybrid model. I think it's more of a yes and industry. For example, this morning I worked out on my Capti bike, and then I also did an F45 workout, and it was busy. And I've been in a bunch of times over the last few weeks, and it's getting busier and busier. And it seems to me like the big common denominator in what's happening is that consumers are in charge of their fitness. They're, as opposed to going to the gym and being the place where you go all the time to get your workouts in, they have optionality now. They can work out at home in between their meetings. A big chunk of people are still working from home, and so they get their fitness in there. And then they go to either a boutique or a functional other sort of get their other workout in that they want to have to complement, whether it be cardio at home and strength at the gym or vice versa. And so I think that's where Capti comes in. Is it's sort of one bike with unlimited possibilities. It's a commercial strength bike in the gym with a state-of-the-art design that looks like it can be in your home as well. And so for consumers and members that want to work out at the gym and they want to get their cardio in on Capti and then do their strength training at the gym, or if they want to have a Capti at home and they want to do that at home, it's all ready for that. And so I guess the net is I think I see, the gym is kind of going to become more of an omni-channel kind of place where consumers are in charge of their workouts.
Yeah, I think that optionality is huge. And at the end of the day, anybody in the industry on either side, digital, at home, omni-channel, the hope is that we can help folks get healthier, and the more options they have and the ways to connect and the content, the better off they'll be. So I think that's the great overall trend.
Yeah. And I would just add, I think the interesting thing for us that we've been looking at is like the growth of riding bikes outdoors during COVID. It took off, right? And so there's been some studies done recently to see, okay, what happens with that post-COVID? And it looks like about 50% of Americans plan to ride their bikes more post-COVID, which is a good thing because, we are based on a riding platform, whether it's, spin or virtual riding. And so winter comes and these riders, they've fallen back in love with the idea of adventure and discovery on their bikes in the warmer months. And then in the winter time, they'll go back indoors. So I think that bodes well for us, for whether our bike is in the gym or at home.
Yeah. Speaking of kind of the different trends that are emerging, one thing that's happened in the especially connected fitness space is you see, maybe initially it's athlete and celebrity investors. And then you have the different artist partnerships, right? So they're getting the music partnerships, they're signing huge music licensing deals to be able to do that. Then, at least in the case when there are instructors, you have these instructors who are building huge social media followings as a kind of growth channel for the brand. It's a little bit different on the gaming side. We haven't talked about the role of music, so maybe you could speak to that. But how do you think about these different growth levers as the brand continues to scale up? So now, right, we're shipping product, we're in people's homes, and now we want more and more people. I guess to this point, we've seen, hey, let's tap this celebrity or athlete or musician, or hey, let's launch this collaboration. How do you think about, continuing to evolve those levers, given that in gaming, it is not, kind of that traditional instructor who's building the social media or brand presence? Yeah, I'd just be curious to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah. So our growth strategy has been, focus on the existing Espresso community, but then we also have to build off of that. And, we look at our strategy, influencers are a huge part of that strategy for us. And I think what sets us apart is the opportunity to do that maybe a little bit differently than more of an instructor-led, studio-inspired style platform. We can go into the gaming community and we could pick out some of the most popular gaming streamers out there that also, like to stay fit. It's like, I think one of the stigmas with gaming is that has always been that, I'm sitting on my couch playing games and I'm not getting any exercise. But now imagine that you can be doing that on a platform that actually gets you fit by accident. Because as you're playing the game, you forget that you're actually getting a workout in. And so we're certainly looking at that side of the influencer community and get them engaged in what we have going on. And, it also kind of ties into where we see our future as well. Doubling down on fitness as a game, our long-term goal is to power fitness in the metaverse. And we see fitness and we see Capti being able to deliver another touch point across that physical to digital world. And, beyond the mouse, a keyboard, or a VR headset, we could take a bike as a physical input, right? And be able to unlock unique and diverse experiences in a way that you may not be able to with a mouse or a keyboard. So I'll give you a great example. My kids love, they'll play Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, and my wife and I would love for them to just, get away from the screen for a little while. But, sometimes that's not always possible. And if you put them on a Capti bike, imagine if they could earn V-Bucks or Robux while getting fit on our bike that they could then use in their virtual world. And they could purchase go to the Nike virtual Nike store and purchase virtual Nike kicks, outfit their avatar, and then they could bring their avatar onto the Capti bike. And now we're creating that in real life connection in the virtual world as well. And I think that's really unique. And I think there's a lot of room for exploration in that space. And I think given that we're on Unreal Engine, helps us a bit more with that interoperability factor within the metaverse and so on. And so, but the reality is today, we are a smart bike that offers two modes, spin and virtual riding. And we have a ton of content that enables you to, get lost in an adventure and discover new routes and get fit while doing it.
Yeah, I think there's unlimited kind of potential when you start talking about the metaverse and different social gaming and now introducing currency potentially into that. We wrote in the newsletter and exploring gaming, right, as it relates to fitness, that the future of fitness looks more like Fortnite than Peloton. And I think that that's true for some cohorts within the different experiences and modalities. So yeah, I'm super curious and interested to see how that evolves. And I to your point, I think we are a long way from that, but it does appear to be moving in that direction. As we near the end of the conversation, one of the things that I did want to ask about, and it may be again too soon to tell down the path of the metaverse, but one thing that pops to mind in talking to other kind of, whether it's connected device manufacturers or content producers, this idea of, hey, we're going to produce a portfolio of equipment. We're going to have all different modalities. Or a game developer saying, we're going to plug our content into different people's hardware and make it more widely available. Any plans down that path, either A, different equipment, or B, taking that existing content in games and putting it in other devices?
Yeah, so I think for us, we see ourselves as an open platform. So the opportunities are endless, right? I think, we have a bike that can power everything from streaming video through to rich 3D video game level graphics and everything in between. And so for us, we're looking at, I'm in LA. We're dealing with, we're talking to studios here about licensing opportunities on the bike. And we're working on an SDK for developers to help build out the content side. And so for us, that is more of our direction and where we're going. And, I think it's given the rich graphical fidelity of our platform. We are an open platform, but being able to port that over to other hardware presents a little bit more of a challenge. We're on a 24-inch Lenovo touchscreen with, AMD Ryzen graphics and a mini PC on the back. So it's like a full-on computer, right? Where there's 70 gigs of content that are being uploaded and downloaded all the time. And so, I think that gives you an idea of the immersive sort of the breadth and depth of the immersive game-based content that we have. So for us, in terms of how we keep it fresh and exciting, is more around bringing more options around the content on the bike.
Yeah, it totally makes sense that, kind of building that platform and ecosystem and seeing what the potential is, as opposed to, trying to plug it in elsewhere. So certainly, yeah, a lot of opportunities as that continues to take shape. I think in wrapping up the conversation here, just given that now, I've seen kind of the messaging out there around the launch and orders and then starting to ship for folks who might be interested in learning more. Yeah, and wanted to maybe see what the gaming experience is all about, potentially order or just keep up with the company in general. What's the best way to do that? Where would you direct them?
Yeah. Capti.co. That's our website. That's where we have it all available for consumers.
Yeah, awesome. I think, Jeff, this conversation was super kind of both insightful and inspiring just in terms of where the industry is headed and the different ways that the innovation is kind of impacting it. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes to share what's happening at Capti with us.
Yeah, you bet. And Joe, what you guys are doing at Fitt Insider is incredible. I love the reporting and analysis on the industry, and I'm always looking forward to your emails in my inbox.
Yeah, thanks so much. And really glad now to have you join that conversation and then share this conversation with listeners.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's episode. For more from Fitt Insider, visit insider.fit.co and subscribe to our weekly newsletter for insights and analysis on the business of fitness and wellness. Then go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. See you next time.